so incredibly much for this moment. This victory tonight belongs to each and every single person in this room. This room won this seat. These drawers won that seat. Every person.
Do you remember this? AOC wins. AOC wins. She beats Crowley. She beats that dinosaur who had been in the Democratic thing for like 20 years. She wins. And it sent shockwaves, especially from the standpoint of the left, because we were pushing her hard, whereas mainstream media could be bothered to know that she even existed. The person that was instrumental in making this possible, that's standing beside her, is Shakik Chikabarty. Forgive me if I get the name slightly off. Harvard tech millionaire that helped, was her campaign manager. He is no longer her campaign manager. He is her former campaign manager. He also started Justice Democrat PAC and Brand New Congress PAC, both of which are now under a federal probe. AOC and Chakrabarty are named the respondents in that poll, in that probe. More likely than not, AOC is named in this because she's AOC. It seems that the actions are more oriented towards Chakrabarty. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, find yourself coming back to this channel often, please like, share, subscribe. And if you're really digging it, you can always support through PayPal or Patreon. This content is brought to you by you. YouTube is an untrustworthy actor in this process. And so I thank you for allowing me to do what I do, which is essentially the news. Yes, a probe. Now, what do I mean by a probe? And let me explain this. And I was bugging my wife because I was trying to explain it to her in a succinct, straightforward way. And forgive me, my system is freezing up on me. And so let me just go into the explanation. Chakrabarty starts two PACs. Justice Democrats PAC and Brand New Congress PAC. Those PACs collect $3.3 million in small dollar donations. Around the exact same time, within a few weeks of starting the PAC, he starts two companies. Brand New Congress. Brand New Congress. Let's see. I want to get the exact names. But it's two new companies with the exact same names as the PACs. If my system starts freezing, I can be exact. Right. All right. So he starts two new companies. Brand New Congress, LLC. Yeah, he starts two new companies by the same name. Brand New Campaign, that's what it was. Brand New Campaign LLC and Brand New Congress LLC. And he takes a third of the money that he gets from the donations from the PACs. Now keep in mind, PACs have certain federal regulations that govern how the money is spent, and even the rules in your explicitly explaining how the money is spent. Meaning there are rules governing how PACs operate. The federal rules that govern how PACs operate. There are none from the standpoint of private companies. Meaning he's taking a third of the money from the PACs and puts it into the two private companies that he just created by the exact same name for strategic consulting. Now, at that point, the issue that people are having here is, wait a minute. You started two new companies around the same time, and the money that you got from the PACs, you took from those PACs and you put it into the companies where people can't see how the money is being used. And it can all go under this notion of strategic consulting. Are you doing this purely as a way to obfuscate people seeing, to obfuscate how the money is being used? Otherwise, why would you do it in that way? That's the issue that people are having with it. And that's the reason that this investigation is taking place. Part of the reason this investigation is also taking place is because, let's be honest, this is AOC's ex-campaign manager. Another weird part about this is he stops being her campaign manager. She leaves. He's no longer a campaign manager. And almost immediately around the same time, that's when the news comes out that there's a probe into Justice Democrat PAC and Brand New Congress PAC. Again, both of which he started. The issue here is that all of this was under his name. Let me go through it again. I just want to be succinct. Chakrabarty starts Brand New Congress PAC, Justice Democrats PAC. He controls both. They raise $3.3 million in small dollar donations. From getting the $3.3 million in small dollar donations, he also starts 2 private companies. Brand New Campaign LLC and Brand New Congress LLC. A third of the money from the PACs gets labeled as strategic consulting and gets dumped into the 2 companies. He controls all of these. The question becomes, are you dumping a third of the money into those PACs, from the PACs into the companies, so you can use without the public seeing how the money is being used? That's the issue. That's the point of contention. Let's be specific. Let me make sure I haven't missed anything. The complaint names AOC and Chakrabarty as respondents. It asks the FEC to investigate and audit the 2 PACs, saying that they were engaged in an elaborate scheme to avoid proper disclosure of campaign expenditures. Tom Anderson, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Government Integrity Project, said it appears Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and her associates ran an off-the-books operation to tune to hundreds of thousands of dollars, thus violating the foundation of all campaign finance laws, transparency. That's the contention. He founded a PAC called Brand New Congress in 2016 and another, Justice Democrats, in 2017 with the stated goal of helping elect progressive candidates to Congress. One of those candidates was AOC, who last November at 29 became the youngest woman ever elected to Congress. That's kind of my point. Naming her in this seems to be more bombastic and more political. However, naming him in this, who was essentially the owner and controller of the PAC, seems to make more sense. Hers seems to be more political. In 2016-2017, Chakrabarty's PAC raised about $3.3 million for the project, primarily from small dollar donations. During this time, the committees transferred over $1 million to shell companies controlled by Chakrabarty with the names similar to the PACs, Brand New Congress and Brand New Campaign, according to FEC filings. A few weeks after starting Brand New Congress PAC, Chakrabarty formed one of the companies, Brand New Congress LLC, in Delaware, using a registered agent service and a mailbox-only address. Over the next 7 months, as small dollar political donations poured into the PACs from progressives across the country, the committee transferred over $200,000, 82% of the contributions, to the company Brand New Campaign. The payments were for quote-unquote strategic consulting, according to the federal filings. They were sent to an apartment address listed for Chakrabarty in Greenwich Village area of Manhattan. In 2017, Brand New Congress PAC transferred another $240,000 to Brand New Congress LLC, also for strategic consulting. Another PAC co-founded by Chakrabarty that year, Justice Democrats, transferred an additional $605,000 to Brand New Congress LLC in 2017. The contention is, why are you doing that? That's the contention. Why are you doing that? Why are you creating a PAC, then creating a company, and then dumping the money from the PAC into the company? Why are you doing that? That's the question. Now, when asked about this, AOC's camp, or Chakrabarty, responded that we stuck with the highest ethical standards, legal ethical standards. We did nothing wrong. Nothing to see here, folks. Keep it moving. Here's the thing. Hillary Clinton can have slush funds. You can't. You've pissed off a lot of people. If that name Chakrabarty sounds familiar to you, Chakrabarty was the one who was having a go at the Democratic, at Pelosi, and was writing those bombastic posts, if I'm not mistaken, saying that they were like, trying to take people back to the old days. But he has made his somewhat disdain for the Democratic leadership and what's considered the established Democrats very clear. Not to mention, AOC has become somewhat of a lightning rod, even internally in the Democratic Party. They were leaking a poll trying to show that AOC and the squad is quote-unquote toxic around the time that they were having a feud with Nancy Pelosi. There's a contention here. There's a tension. My point is, whereas they may give Hillary Clinton a pass on a slush fund, they will not give you a pass on a slush fund. And you would not have anybody looking out for you in this particular case. Meaning, whether this is entirely politically motivated or whether there's a there to it, I gotta be honest, this looks problematic to say the least. I mean, PACs have rules. And this notion that you're saying, all right, I'm gonna be in control of the PACs and I'm starting 2 private companies and I'm gonna take money from the PACs that have federal regulations and siphon that money into companies that I also own and control. I'm just saying that looks dicey, whether there's any there to it or not. All of the ethical standards and everything else might be up to snuff, so there may be nothing to see here, folks, and this may be a certain degree of political castings. I'm saying whether there is or there is not, and again, this looks dicey just on its face. You're not going to get any cover. Like, under normal circumstances, you may have certain Democrats who might be on that council who may be willing to give something a pass. They're not giving any passes on this. They don't like you. They don't like you. A secondary point. The express goal of Chakrabarty and AOC and the people in Justice Democrats have literally been to remove other Democrats, dinosaurs, from their seats. Insofar as they do that, I applaud that. Those dinosaurs need to be removed from their seats, especially if they're standing in the way of policy that the rest of the public is on board for, that is a tick to the left of the current order. So, yes, fair enough. But just because you're trying to do good doesn't mean good follows. And you're going to have a target on your back in this particular case from the right, but also from people who are on, supposedly, your side of the aisle. Be aware of that. My point is, you can't have any shady business dealings in this situation. I don't know if this gentleman left the campaign because they realized, oh God, he's a problem because there's a federal probe that may show something that is somewhat improper and something that he did, and we don't necessarily want him connected to AOC. Or if he did in fact leave because he just wants to go help with the Green New Deal. Who knows? We, the public, won't necessarily know that unless somebody starts talking behind the scenes. What I do know is, right now, it seems like there is a federal probe looking into Justice Democrats PAC and brand new Congress PAC. And yeah, any notion of transparency is essentially blown out the water when money is being dumped into companies. But again, the question becomes, is it improper? Just because they're drawing a spotlight on this doesn't necessarily mean that this is entirely different than the way politics typically operate. And they're just kind of being selective in the justice that they want to apply to this particular thing. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know what goes on in regards to the normal campaigns. I would imagine, I suspect, this is typical run-of-the-mill to some degree. Doesn't make it any less corrupt. Or at the very least, the appearance of impropriety. So, I didn't want this one to be long. I'm putting this below. I did a video on this, if I am not mistaken, almost like a year ago or several months ago at the very least. And it's popped back up into the media from the standpoint of a federal probe. Initially, it came up just people were asking questions about this looks dicey. This guy's controlling all of this, Justice Democrat PAC, and he's controlling this other thing. But now apparently the feds are looking into it. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But look, I would say this. AOC being named in this, it seems absurd a little bit. I mean, she's not the one that was controlling the PAC. It seems like they added her name almost for a political tint, which is somewhat of a tell, I would argue. But just because it takes on a political tint doesn't necessarily mean there's not necessarily a fire there. We'll see what the probe says, and we'll come back and visit from then. I wouldn't necessarily jump to conclusions one way or the other. However, on its face, it looks like a bunch of money was dumped from a PAC that was being controlled by a person into a company that was being controlled by that person for undisclosed reasons, since it's a private company at that point. I'll leave it here. I mean, it is what it is. But I don't, Pelosi being named, AOC being named in this seems off the reservation. Could be wrong. We'll see what the probe says, but that makes it seem wildly political, seeing as he was her chief of staff, and it wasn't a situation of her controlling the PACs. It was him controlling the PACs and him starting the companies. So how on earth is AOC being named in this? AOC is being named in this only to draw attention to it. I can't think of no other reason why. We'll see. Thanks all. Like and share.